Pick up the 1700 turn of Schoengrabern here. 1700 means the dusk is fast approaching, so the French need to get moving. So we see a large contingent of French reinforcements due to arrive this turn. On the west side, see 2 line regiments and a couple of skirmisher battalions for Legrand, more grenadiers in the center, and some more of Suchet's men on the east. Now they all need to roll a 1 to enter, except for that 17th regiment, which needs a 3. So we'll just start rolling some dice left to right here. None of Legrand's men roll. None of the grenadiers. Geez, even the 17th rolls a 5. So no reinforcements will enter this turn. Kind of a setback for the French there. So we'll move all these guys to the turn record track for next turn. So with no reinforcements arriving and no good terrain for cavalry, we're just going to start moving the French. We'll start on the east here. 2 to enter the forest, and then adjacent to that counter, trying to get a little spread out here. We're going to keep these grenadiers astride the road, just in case the Russians get a little active. Put some markers to show I've moved those guys. I think we will move one more marker there. Try to keep some pressure on the flanks because we are going to have to move those grenadiers. No more holding back. They're going to attack up the center there. On the west, we have the cavalry way out here, and then some infantry moving. So we'll keep these skirmishers alive. Get them moving into the vineyards. Leaving a giant gap there, but we're not too worried. We have a lot of artillery protecting that side here. I'm going to move him here. That is all the movement we're going to make for the French here. Oh no, wait, I have these cavalry regiments. I want to get them moving. What I don't want to do is get too close to that because I don't know what it is. So if we can keep turning that flank, that's probably the best. Now it's cost 5 movement factors, and these are 15, so I can move these guys 3 hexes. 1, 2, 3 for each of them. Again, due to the closeness of the terrain, I'm not too worried about my flank right over there. So we will conclude movement with those moves. Russian defensive fire in the west consists of this one obscured marker. We throw the dice, and wouldn't you know it, roll a 65. I didn't mention it, but I was shooting at those skirmish order grenadiers, which is good for the French because 65 would have killed Legrand there. They take a second loss, which causes a morale check. They have a morale of 22. The morale dice were 33, so they stand. No more fires there on the west. Along the center line, we have several fires going on here. Point these out, here to here. Those skirmishers, those grenadiers, some Jaegers there. Just start throwing the dice. Low numbers. Still low numbers. More low numbers. And a final low number. So no casualties inflicted on that side. The last positions here have these two obscured markers. We'll fire on those grenadiers and then on Suchet. And both had low rolls. So ineffective sniping by the Russians this turn. Let's just pick up the French offensive fire here in the west, or excuse me, the east. We have a column and a general order battalion. Both, well, that's a 6. That's an 8. Gee, that seems kind of high. So it's about a 1-to-1 attack. No effect. We'll fire those skirmishers without effect. And we can just see here, we'll fire the center lines here. And against that guy, I think we have 6 increments. That's going to be casualty on those Jaegers. Rolled a 53. And here we have 2 attacks by the Grenadiers, no effect. I have a 53, which I think is not enough. It's going to be a 1.5, about 1 to 1.5 attack here, so they wouldn't. Now the final one here is about a 1 and 1.5, and we've rolled a 65, nice big number, which will reveal those skirmishers and inflict a casualty. No morale checks yet. That last attack was out of view. It was right here. Those skirmishers were fired upon. And the final here in the west, this is general order, so that's actually a front-facing X along with the skirmish order light infantry. They roll a nice low number, so no effect. So we will move on to our melee phase. So we're going to go ahead, given the time is getting short, to try to melee that guy right behind in the vineyard behind the stream, which is a musketeer battalion, full strength. Not often a good idea. Now, because we're assaulting into the general order, the defender does not check morale, but the attacker does. Now we can only use 3 increments from that guy, but we have 6 from the guy here in column. So that's 3 to 1. We roll 2 very high numbers for both those French battalions, so they each pass. Now we're going to assault. So that's 3/4 of 11 plus the 15 against the 7. It's probably about 3 to 1, more or less. Ooh. And when you know it, we roll a 65, so more or less doesn't matter. It's going to be a rout. So that's a big win for the French there. Retreat to 3 hexes, sustaining a casualty and becoming routed. That's kind of huge. We're going to advance Suchet, give him the honor of taking that X. The other 2 attacks are going to be the Grenadiers. Tripod does its damage. So we're going to assault across the stream against the general order grenadiers there, so it's only morale check for the attacker. We can only muster 3 increments, so it's going to be a low odds assault. And this is the danger of a low odds assault. We roll a low number, we don't pass our morale check, and we have to retreat in disorder. Premier rules, man. So we're going to give the same a shot here, revealing more grenadiers. We're attacking across the board, which I don't remember. I don't think that causes a morale. But we rolled terribly anyway. But they're elite. They're 16. So, yeah, I think we... I gotta look up that rule. So the rule for a fort is treat it as if it's an upslope. So that is a negative modifier, which causes us to fail our morale check, which is a drag. So the French have to retreat in disorder. So, good win for the Russians. That's going to conclude our melee. We have the rally recovery phase here, so we're going to try to recover those 2 repulsed grenadier battalions. And this one recovers, and when you know it, rolled low, and the second one fails. Some elite infantry they are. So we have no one else to rally. We're just going to rout those grenadiers out of the way. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7. I think I'll put them there for 10. So this is not a good place to rout. If they can't rally next turn, they're going to run off the board and be gone. So we have no cavalry to recover, no other rallies. So that'll be the end of the French half of the turn. So with no cavalry to charge, the Russians are going to begin their movement phase. So we see the French cavalry in the distance there. So we're going to move the dragoons into position to try to cut them off. Similarly, we have these rather large hussars regiment. We'll get them right there. So now the French aren't looking too happy about being opposed by pretty strong cavalry. Moving a little closer, we know we need to get these guys. Over into position. We probably can leave them. Well, I think we'll move them right there. Need to stem the tide a little bit. The problem with moving out of here is that we trigger an opportunity fire. So instead of that, I think, well, yeah. Three here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 5 is 16. Let's roll for that opportunity fire. Low enough number. No casualties. That's 2, 4, and 6. Now, pay attention when I'm not in range. We're going to look in the center here. With that advance on the left, or the west, got to think about getting these Russians out of the first vineyard here. So we're going to go ahead and pull them back. Unfortunately, that exposes us to some opportunity fire. We roll a very high number, and we inflict a casualty. Now we have a morale of 26. We've lost 2, more than half our number, which is a -6 modifier, which gives our morale dice adjusted to 25, which is disorder. We're going to disorder them back. It's always the danger of trying to pull out of the zone of control. In the Premier rules, opportunity fires are at full strength. That is pretty difficult to stand up against. Now, I don't want to move this guy around. He's not going to get very far, so I'm just going to leave him there. But more importantly is to try to shift this direction to the west. So we're going to get that battalion and move this one in its place. Good shot. Now the Russians are generally in decent shape here in the center, but here on their left, a little rougher. Now we have a leader under here. I'm going to shift our leader under the routed unit and try to recover him. And then move these grenadiers 2, 4, right over there. I'm going to get these Cossacks the heck out of the way because they're not going to do me too much good there. Basically, if I can get some casualties on the French, I'm going to try to run the Cossacks at them. That's what they're good at. Hitting disordered or routed, basically helpless infantry. They aren't any good in a stand-up fight. So let's move on to the defensive fire phase here. Stick with the eastern side. So we have one shot there. And we'll inflict a casualty. Just what the Russians want. That is a morale check with a second loss, but they passed their morale check. Another shot there. No effect. Have one more here. Very low number, and that's it. No one else is in contact. I went backwards there. That was stupid. I forgot this is the French defensive fire phase. So we'll just pretend that we're firing simultaneously here. So when I fire those grenadiers, I inflict a casualty and reveal the Russian musketeers. And one more. Another big roll, good for the French. Another morale check, very high morale dice, so they pass. And our third attack here. Jeez. Those are 1 to 1.5. Very effective French fires. Now the Russians have to check morale. Nice high number, 61, so they pass. So because I fouled up, our fire phases were complete. Don't want to undertake any melees, so we'll just get to try to rally. We have one routed unit here. Definitely need him to rally. Let's see, he has a morale of 26, which should pass. Roll to 45. And we have one more disorder. He's in a little tougher shape since he's lost half his number, and on top of that he rolls a 12, so from your rules, you fail, you rout. So let's just route that guy back into the vineyard. 1, 2, 3, 4 for the stream, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 movement points for routing. And that should conclude. We have no more actions to take for the Russian side. I'll just kind of quickly look where we are. The Russian cavalry is trying to obstruct the French advance in the west there. The Russian infantry is shifting similarly. Bit of a loss there with that routed battalion, but we'll probably pick them up. Russians are still holding pretty strongly in the center. Those two failed attacks by the French grenadiers were pretty important. And on the left, on the Russian side, we had that small gain across the stream. Basically, they're still holding together. So, as we advance towards night, the dust turns are coming up. The French need to get that big mass of reinforcements they have into play and pushing hard on all three sides, left, center, and right. They need to get through this darn vineyard. They have a long way to go for a decisive victory, capturing Guntersdorf there. See what the next turn brings.